Warning: the podcast you're about to listen to will contain spoilers, misinformation, bad ideas, useless topics, and a lot of laughing. Viewer discretion is advised. This podcast was performed by professional idiots that most of the time don't know what they're talking about. Please take everything said with a grain of salt. Sit back, relax, do not cringe, and enjoy.
What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode, and hopefully, you get some mild enjoyment as we talk about this week's topic, The Lion King. This is the original. Hang on, what?
It's a lion noise.
No, just no.
That's like a dog.
Oh, whatever. Anyway, that's a great start. The original Lion King from 1994.
Yes.
I think I didn't write the date down like I should have. Yes, I did. Whoops. Okay. So we're gonna be talking about The Lion King. I'm Josh.
And I'm Jared.
I'm really gonna have a good argument why I'm like Scar. Anyway, be prepared. This is Hazard Animations. Okay, welcome back. So we are talking about the original Lion King. I didn't write a whole lot of details down like I should have, which is fine, granted, which you did. But it was released in 1994. I was not alive then.
I was.
I know you were because you're older than I am.
I was 4.
That's true.
It is true.
Well, I think like because you're 10 years older than I am.
I was born in 1990.
Yeah,
so I
so
can
you're 10
always
years older
remember.
than I am.
In 1996, I was 6.
Really?
Yep, that's how that works.
Do you know how I was old?
How were you? How are you?
Old were I in 2007?
In 2007?
Yeah,
I don't know.
7.
7? Oh, right, because you're 2000.
That was bad English. Okay, I'm bad. All right, so yeah, we're talking about the original Lion King from 1994, and Jared decided not to watch the movie in common Jared fashion.
That's what I do.
We might have to fire him.
I know this movie. So
Okay.
like I admitted that I didn't watch enough of the chaotic episodes. That was a mistake.
No. Or Code Lyoko.
I did watch some Code Lyoko, not enough. So yes, those shows I should have watched more. I admitted
Yes.
that. That was a failing on my part. Like I don't need to see Lion. Like I know this movie. So like I told you when we were doing the prep, I actually instead of watching the movie, I went and found a documentary from around 1994 where the voice actor who plays Rafiki is doing this narration of all this behind the scenes footage of the animators storyboarding, them going to trips to the zoo, spending time with animals to get inspiration and kind of keying me into like the whole behind the scenes process. So that's what I watched.
Yeah. And that was kind of like with me. I watched it once because I wanted to get.
You wanted to be refreshed.
Yeah. But then also, like I was telling you earlier with the pre-show, is I created a Lion King playlist of the original songs. This is for the first and the second one. But for the first one, I was able to just run almost the entire movie through my head, just think of every scene. Not all of it, because there is a lot to cover in an hour and a half movie.
Yeah.
In your head. Mm-hmm. So that's hard. But I could get the most.
If we had picked Lion King 2, I definitely would have had to go back and watch it. Because I've seen it. I've seen it once, twice.
We skipped 1.5.
1.5, that was... I think that was a good one. That's like the Timon and Pumbaa story.
Yeah, I didn't like that one as much as the first one or the second one.
I don't remember if it was from that one or if it was from like the Lion King, if they did an animated series, but I have a vivid memory of being a kid and watching an episode where like it's a Timon and Pumbaa thing, but there's this other meerkat or some creature that gets granted a wish and it, gets really big.
I have no idea.
You know what I'm talking about?
No.
I'll have to go find that.
We'll have to find it.
That will be an episode someday because that's a super fun episode.
Yeah, look at that. Anyway, so thoughts on the movie since, we've seen it, but let's just kind of talk about thoughts.
Let's talk about The Lion King. This is one of those great, like, classic, really, really awesome Disney movies where they clearly put in an insane amount of work into this whole thing. When you start talking about the details of, back in 1994, technology and skills weren't the same as what they are now.
Yeah.
And so, you saw some of that stuff when they did like the live action Lion King movie.
Mhm.
Like it's a whole different look now as opposed to back in the early '90s. Um, but like how much they did with just pen and paper and a little like the early stages of like CGI stuff
Yeah.
to kind of help them. I was watching, so I did watch like through like the intro
Mhm.
of the Lion King movie. I'm just blown away by how good it looks.
Yeah.
How fluid everything is, how realistic it
Mhm.
all looks for being animated cartoon.
Well, that's one thing I know. And again, this is kind of hard part of being an animator now. I'm seeing some of the things like this is kind of again, it's with the time because it came out so long ago. So you're not seeing like a clean. Sometimes like when the mouths were moving,
Yeah.
of like Mufasa or Scar, you can kind of see the not necessarily finished. It was just kind of I wouldn't say sloppy because it was a great movie.
Yeah.
But you see what I'm saying? It's kind of like you see the difference. Like maybe this wasn't as well done in a way.
Yeah, well, that's one of those things that I kind of had a similar thought as I was watching. I was like, man, it's amazing how believable it is. Because if you really watch their mouths of most any animated thing, like
Yeah.
clearly, like it doesn't always perfectly line up.
Yeah.
But for like if you're just watching it casually and not really trying to critically like look at like you believe that their mouth is moving
Yeah.
exactly as the words are coming out and they're forming the right shapes and the right times and stuff like that. And that was one thing I thought to myself. I was like, man, that's got to be just a really annoying thing to
Yeah.
animate because it's not the big sexy cool thing. It's well, we have to do this because if we don't do a good job at like animating their mouths, it's going
Right.
to look silly. But if we do a really good job, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But if we do a bad job, it's a really big deal. So you have to put in the work to make sure that it looks good. But the value added is I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and like when you think of Disney movies, like 90s Disney movies, one of the first movies that comes to no matter who you are, your mind is Lion King.
Yeah.
Out of the three, it's either Lion King, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast. It's one of those three are the top.
Yeah.
Because those all came out in the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they all came out early 90s. And then like the next ones came out.
Yeah, all those movies came out when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And yeah, Lion King certainly stands out. It's one of those that just it looks really good. The story is really gripping.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you can relate to a story like that as a 5 and 6 year old or whatever.
No.
But I remember just being so engaged with it and loving every minute of it. And
Yeah.
the whole dynamic of Simba having to like be exiled and then kind of grow up in the jungle and like the whole Hakuna Matata attitude, which is very much like the attitude I try to live my life by. Everything is no worries.
Yeah.
It's always
I
no
bought my
worries.
teacher back in high school. He was helping me a lot getting through high school. So I went to Disneyland for my graduation. I brought him back a Hakuna Matata mug because he drank coffee at school all the time. So I brought him a gift, which was kind of nice, and I just did it for fun.
No worries.
No worries. Now, Mufasa's death, that hits different every time. No matter how long you've watched it, it still gets you, right?
Yeah.
That's a hard scene to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I remember not really fully getting it as a kid even. So when you're kind of watching it the first time, you know that like it's sad, but like as a 4 or 5, 6 year old, like you haven't dealt with death.
No.
Most kids at least. And so for me, like I remember not really understanding what happened.
Yeah.
Like obviously Mufasa's not really in the movie anymore. But he is because he shows up later in the
Multiple
big cloud.
times.
He's in the water, he's in the cloud, he's in all these things. And so I didn't fully understand like how truly sad that scene is.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't ready to process all of that.
Right.
But to even like as you get older and you watch it again, you go back to it, at 15, you go back to it at 20, you go back to it at 25, whatever. I go back and I watch it with my kids now and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so dark. Like,
yeah.
Not only does Scar like set up this whole scenario to have like Mufasa trampled, but then that kind of goes sideways.
Yeah.
Because Mufasa jumps out of it.
Right.
It's like, okay, now Scar's really got to go into the big bad. And we're gonna talk about Scar a little bit later,
Yes.
but this is one of those moments of like Scar's got no hesitation. He had a plan to have Mufasa killed by this herd of wildebeest.
Well, he had one plan first.
He had one plan first.
Was to kill Simba with the hyena sending him to the
Well,
elephant.
yeah.
Yes,
I mean, that was a plan. He's had some plans that didn't quite work out. But so this thing with Mufasa, is trying to get the wildebeest to run him over, and so he doesn't have to get his hands dirty. But when it comes down to it, Mufasa's right there hanging on the ledge. Scar is ready. Like, no hesitation.
Live the king.
Exactly. Like, murder in his eyes. It's devastating. Something you don't get as like a kid either is like the psychological abuse or torture, whatever you want to call it, of Scar to Simba. Like, putting the blame, because I didn't realize this as a kid either. Like, Simba doesn't actually really see Scar do it.
No.
And so he's going this whole time, and Scar tells him, like, no, you did this. This is your fault. He's convinced Simba that he killed his dad, or he's the reason his dad got killed. And he lives the rest of his life with that up until the big confrontation at the end. But, like, imagining what that would do to you, it makes it a little bit more sense why, like, Simba, who's, emotionally damaged and psychologically, like, all thrown off, like, it makes sense why he would run away, be happy to be run, like, to stay away and not want to come back. Because it's not like that whole time he had in the back of his mind, like, oh, Scar's the one who actually killed my dad, and someday, like, he lives his whole life thinking he killed his dad.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, things change. I don't know. It's just a really deep story that I can go back to as an adult, and enjoy it just as much as I did when I was 5, but in a different way.
Well, the funny thing with that scene, to like how many years passed, like Simba was the only one to age.
Nala aged. She
Nala,
got, she got bigger.
Okay, but like Timon, Pumbaa didn't hardly age. Zazu didn't age. Scar, as we know of, didn't age. Looked the exact same.
Oh, he was already old.
Yeah. So
that's Disney magic, We don't need to age anybody else. We're just gonna age the protagonist, and that's good enough for us.
That is true.
That's like, that's pretty believable. I mean, like, because if you think about, like, you get into reality, like the lifespan of a lions age pretty quickly. And so, I mean, it's not like it's necessarily Simba's been off for 15 years. Like, this is maybe like a year or two. And, Simba and Nala are going to have much more growth in a year or two or whatever than any of the folks who already, or the animals who are already grown.
Yeah. Well, they do like, 4 different stages. So you think it would be longer than a year.
I don't know. I don't know how long it takes lions to mature.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, like, as a guess, because what they have, like, in that scene where they're crossing the log, it's like 4 different stages of Simba.
Yeah, there's like the cub stage, and then there's one stage after that. Then there's a stage where he's like starting to get his mane, and then he's got his mane.
Yeah.
See, I didn't need to watch it. Man, I can see that in my head.
Yeah. So
boom.
Pouncing lesson.
Pouncing lessons.
Do you know that scene?
Yeah.
What do you think of that scene?
That's a funny, sweet moment between father and son. Such an odd thing, like, there's this king, and they're animals. This is a Disney movie. This is not like a king like we think of a king. But here's the king of the Pride Lands is like, oh, I've got this royal advisor right here who I entrust with, like, assisting me in everything.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I guess I kind of was letting you. So he's like, trying to do the morning report or whatever. He's like, Zazu, can you turn around for a second? He's like, certainly, sire. Starts talking, and then he gives some tips. Like, let me show you how a pro does it. And like, what are you doing over there, Mufasa? He's like, pouncing lesson. It's like, oh, pouncing lesson. Mm-hmm. It's like, you can't be serious. Turning his hands around, he's like, this is so embarrassing.
Which that interaction tells me that this isn't the first time it's happened either.
No,
because he's clearly like, he knows what's happening, and he's already over it.
Yeah, he's like, man, not again.
So I think that's funny. It's like this king is like, oh yeah, I have this royal advisor who's handling like the kingdom.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna have my kid jump on him.
Yeah, and then how they like disappear completely from that scene. It's just like, Simba, Mufasa. And they just jump out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm. Which that's cool. So going back to kind of that documentary that I watched, those animators spent a lot of time like observing lions' movements, but also kind of studying like how they operate in the wild. Not actually, I don't know that they went and saw any wild lions in the wild, but understanding like, I mean, if you watch like a National Geographic type show about lions, like you see them hunt, like those things will disappear when they're doing their approach. Like they'll come right up on some animals and those animals will have no idea that the lion is approaching.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, very realistic, very true to reality.
Yeah, that's true.
I like that scene. It's funny.
Well, there's a lot of really good scenes in that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of some other ones.
What do you think about it? What do you think about that scene?
I think it was just funny how like how I said before, it's like how Zazu was just like, why? But then also too, like after that bonding moment, all you see is this groundhog pop out of the ground, like morning news from the whatever, and then he goes, hyenas in the Pride Lane. He's like, I gotta go, and someone's like, can I come? He's like, no, son. Runs off.
What's funny about that little groundhog is that so he pops up out of the dirt, right? But he's still got a little bit of dirt on his head to make, and it looks like a helmet. So he's like this little soldier guy.
It's just like there's a lot of stuff going on, and so yeah, it's just kind of cool. So this is one thing I really wanted to touch on. Actually, I saw a video. I'll kind of mention this first before we get on to Scar, because there's a lot I want to talk about Scar.
Okay. Because you relate to him a lot.
We're getting to that.
Okay.
So I've seen videos, and I always think they're kind of funny. People like talking about like childhood crushes or whatever, like from shows or whatever, right? And so I think it was Emerchu, a YouTuber, anyway, animator. So they profile people. Are like, so were you one of the? I think it was Sultan. I'll have to show you the video, but so you can kind of get reference. So he was like talking about like, did you like Lola Bunny from Space Jam?
Oh yeah.
He's like, I'm not a furry.
Yeah.
And they're like, so let me ask you this: what about Nala from Lion King? He's like, why are you doing this to me? Which is funny. It's just like most people probably did have a crush on Nala, but nowadays it's like you don't want to say it because everyone's like, oh, you're a furry. It's like.
Yeah, so I can definitely affirm some of those feelings. Like I remember thinking that I really liked Nala. I had no idea what that meant, at the time. It's not like it was anything like
it's nothing. It wasn't major back then, but it is.
It wasn't anything major, and it wasn't for me at least. It wasn't anything like sexual. It was just the first like I don't know. These are girl characters in a Disney show, and I was homeschooled. And I was like, "What's a girl?" Like, okay. So there was definitely some of those feelings.
Yeah,
but I would like to say I'm also not a furry. So
yeah, right. Exactly.
I'm not even really super clear about what that is. I've been hearing that term lately.
I don't know exactly.
I'll have to ask Aaron because he gets accused of that a lot too. Because he wears like a bunny outfit in his live streams or something.
Oh, I want to roast him so bad right now.
He's not even here.
I know, but I'm gonna send this to him.
You should send it to him, Aaron. You need to help clarify for us what furries are.
No, there's something else he told me last night.
Oh.
That's what I want to roast him on.
Is it related to the topic?
No. The cosplay you said, then yes, in a way.
But we'll have to have him on someday. And talk
he wants to go on for the Danny Phantom one, he said.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Oh,
cool. Another episode. So yeah, we'll talk about that towards the end.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about, first crushes in Disney movies.
I just thought of that when I saw it. I'm thinking like,
it is something I've heard from other people before. Like,
I'll send you that video. I think it's pretty funny.
I'll check it out.
So, how evil is Scar?
This guy's a pretty bad dude as far as villains go. If you kind of compare him to some other like Disney villains, I mean, because obviously we could compare him to like real world bad guys, and he doesn't stack up because he's a cartoon, So in the Disney animated movie universe, if you start thinking about some other villains and the kind of stuff that they've done. Like I think about like Gaston, who is not a nice guy, and he does some really bad stuff. But he didn't kill any. He tried to kill the beast, but you could make an argument for Gaston that like he truly believes this is a monster and needs to be killed because it's going to kill everybody else. And there's a justification that I'm like, oh, I know the rest of the story, so I don't support you, but I get that.
Yeah.
When you have a character like Scar, who, there's some backstory we don't understand. Because obviously, like, this is Mufasa's brother, and there's pride dynamics.
Yeah.
So in lion prides, like, there can't be too many males because the strongest male will run the other ones off. So Scar is off, like, he's living his whole life in exile and been, cast aside. And so there's some hurt, there's some trauma there, and so some unreasonable reactions to that are understandable.
Well, it's like in the beginning too. When Mufasa said, "Don't turn your back on me, Scar," he turns his head slightly and says, "No, maybe you shouldn't turn your back on me." Mufasa runs in front of him. Is that a challenge? He's like, "Tempa." Which is just like, I was going with that. He's like,
I mean, clearly there's more backstory here.
Yeah, and I saw
we're not getting
in lore. I couldn't find anything that I had time to look for. But it's just
the
like
Lion King lore.
There actually is. I found a website. I didn't look at any of it.
Well, I know that they have follow-on movies and they built some more stuff afterwards. So I mean, there's some more there.
And then some of it, like when he went and told Simba, he's like, "Why won't we go to the shadowy place or whatever?" He's like, well, "Only the bravest lions go there." He's like, "Well, what's over there?" He's like, "Oh, an elephant graveyard is no place for a king." Like, "Oh, I've said too much." Knowing very well what he said. He's like, so that was evil.
Yeah.
But now here's the thing. It was from our last podcast we did, which was Chaotic.
Yep.
Right. And we made a shirt for it, which should be out by the time this episode comes out.
Okay.
It's, I'm not evil. I'm just not nice for me.
Right. Which is very Josh.
It is. And I'm learning out of these past 2 episodes, especially with this movie, I am a lot like Scar.
In what way?
I'm not necessarily an evil person, but I'm just not a nice person.
And so you're like a schemer like he is?
Yes, very much so.
Can you name a scheme that you've schemed?
Scheme. Don't put me on the spot. That's not fair.
I'm sorry. It wasn't in the show notes.
No, it wasn't.
But you can relate to him, plotting and scheming.
And sometimes I'll do it just to be funny. But so like I'll try to go around scheming. So like when we did the Mafia game for church or whatever.
Okay.
I started with Trent learning how to do hand signs.
Okay.
So we can figure out who was what role. So people called me out for cheating on that. And then another thing I started to do is I started figuring out who was who. So I would turn on my own team. So like if I was a villager.
You turn on the other villagers? Going completely against like the purpose of the game and the mission. You're like, no, I'm going to do my own thing.
Yep. And I threw the game.
You might be evil.
I'm just not nice.
You might be more than just not nice. You might be evil. That's sinister. If you're a villager, be a villager.
Like Clay too. I'm learning. Like, am I a lot like these characters?
Are you a villain?
Yes,
you might be.
I am.
You might be a villain.
To admit that.
All right.
I'm just like
Josh's dad. If you're listening to this, you need to be aware. If you're Josh's brother, sister, cousin, family of any kind, if you're listening to this, be prepared. Josh is scheming against you right now.
That is true.
Now we'll find out if any of your family listens to the podcast.
Oh, trust me, there are some.
Ooh.
Even some coworkers.
Oh,
John,
good.
if you're listening.
John, you need to be prepared too.
I'm really going to send this to him now.
Josh is scheming.
I am. And it's just like, and kind of like when I'm trying to scheme, I guess would be, I change my voice a little bit like, well, like how Scar did with when he's talking to the hyenas.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if you deserve this with the meat kind of hanging and stuff.
Trying to manipulate everybody around him.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then also this was the icing on the cake for me. Why I'm like Scar. Remember when for some reason I was getting ready to say Sabumafu. That's something completely different. I was trying to say Zazu, and the first thing that comes to my mind is Sabumafu.
It's not that true.
It's something completely different. So why did Sabumafu come into my head?
It's not right, Josh.
It's not.
Sabumafu is not in.
Zazu.
Okay.
Not Sabumafu. Zazu. When he's singing the song, right?
I've got a lovely bunch of.
No, before that.
Before that.
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
And he's like, sing something a little bit more peppy.
Yeah.
And then this is where I get like, okay, so when we go to Disneyland, my mom, last time I went with my parents, my mom, she said, "Are we going to go on It's a Small World?" I said, "No, that's not happening. I will not go." I tell people, like, that is my torture. Said, if you want to torture me, play that song. It will torture me. And then, so you can see the look. Zazu.
Zabumazu. Yeah, I got it.
Sure.
Sassafras.
Don't get my head confused.
Zaba Zaba. Yeah, go ahead.
Why am I thinking Zabuza?
Zimazenta.
Zabuza's Naruto.
Zabuza's not in this.
It's
Josh, why can't you just say Zam Zam Zam?
Okay, Zazu.
You did it.
Has a smile on his face when he said, "Change the song." He goes, and they start singing "It's a Small World," and Scar goes, "No, anything but that."
That's right. I forgot.
And I was thinking, like, that's me, like, very much.
If that's the criteria for being like Scar, then I'm in that boat too. Because whenever we go to Disneyland, I've been on Small World several times because I've got small kids, and one time we went once when once or twice when Julianne was pregnant, and it's a good ride to go on and kind of sit down and take a break while still doing something.
Yeah.
So I've been on it a couple times, and it's one of those rides where I really appreciate Small World.
Yeah.
For being what it is, and really pushing those rides forward, ride technology forward, and like the animatronics and all that stuff, stuff that was done on Small World led to other rides, which I enjoy much, much more.
Right.
That being said, I hate it to death.
Yes,
and I wish they would get rid of it because it's a nightmare for me.
Yeah.
I hate going on that ride, and I push strongly against anybody that, like, Julianne's the only person to be like, no, we're going to go on Small World. I'm like, okay, like, I don't want to, but I will. Right. Anyone else tells me like, sure, let's go on Small World. Absolutely not. Right. Never in a million years.
Right.
Not. No. You'll have to bring my dead body onto that ride to make me go on it again. And even then, I will probably still fight you dead.
Probably. Yeah.
My nerves in my body will hear the song and they will start moving around and trying to get off the ride. So yeah, I agree with you. That's a terrible ride.
Yeah,
I agree with Scar. It's a terrible song.
It is. So yeah, just like thinking about like and then like okay for bowling, right? Okay.
Scar likes to bowl.
No, but I'm saying,
does he?
I don't know. He doesn't say. No, so then it's like how evil I am sometimes because like I don't like I've told you this, like we're going bowling on the last Wednesday of the month, I think.
Yep.
Right? My 2 rules in bowling: I don't go easy, I don't hold back.
Kind of the same rule, but yeah, kind of the same rule.
No,
not going easy and not holding back. I don't think you can go easy and not hold back. And if you're going easy, you're holding back.
The way I picture it's different. Because by easy means I'm not gonna give you handicap. So like I'm not gonna give you extra, typically, unless I say it ahead of time. And I don't roll my punches. Not like I'm actually gonna punch you, unless I want.
This is like fighting bowling.
No, this is just bowling. I say
this is fight bowling.
Sure.
For every strike, I get to punch you in the face.
Yeah.
Bowling is kind of evil.
Yes.
It's an evil man's game.
And then like. Yes.
When else are you throwing something at something smaller to try and strike it and cause damage?
There's been other times.
There's been other times
Yes.
outside of bowling.
Yes.
When you've thrown stuff at things, the smaller things, to try and cause damage.
Yes.
That's it. I'm calling the police. It's just straight evil right
and then,
now.
okay, so here's.
So you don't go easy on anybody at bowling. You're going all
Here's
out
a better example of me
for
scheming.
the throat, for the kill.
Yes.
To destroy them emotionally, physically.
Yes. So here's another example of me scheming. Right.
Okay.
I haven't done this yet, but so.
So this is mid scheme.
This is mid scheme for my cousin.
All right, everybody, pay attention.
I found a song or whatever. It's like the ding dong, like that scary, creepy, whatever.
Oh yeah.
So my cousin watches a lot of horror movies, and he gets real scared real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So next time I'm visiting or whatever, I'm gonna get one of those big O speakers. Stick it under his bed. Just let it sit there. And then right when he gets ready to go to bed, I'll wait an hour after he's asleep and then just play it at full volume, full blast. It'll probably freak him out.
Probably. Like, if you did that to me, you put a speaker under my bed and you blast any song out after an hour after I've gone to bed, like even if it's my favorite song, I'm going to freak out because I'm like, what's happening? And also I'm going to be unhappy because you woke me up. So your cousin, you're going to do this to your cousin the next time you come to visit. What's your cousin's name?
Ethan.
Ethan. Somebody let Ethan know that Josh is bringing a speaker. Mm-hmm. Your scheme's been foiled. Take that.
It won't be. Trust me. He'll forget.
We'll see.
And
I'll forget. We'll see if Ethan does. Somebody let Ethan know. Give him a heads up.
He'll forget.
It's coming, Ethan.
So yeah, I learned. I scheme, and
you ought to do the song from what are those, like the Conjuring movies? They have that song playing. No tiptoe by the window. No, that's where I'll be. No tiptoe by the tulips with me. If you've heard the original version of that song, it's actually very fun and peppy, and it was meant to be a happy song, but it sounds super creepy when they take some of the background out, change it a little bit, and then now it's terrifying.
Yeah, and then like one thing, like my family, right? And this doesn't show Scar. I have a very dry sense of humor, people say, and stuff like that. So like
beef jerky.
Yes. So my aunt working at my uncle's house.
Like dried fruit.
I want to throw something at you. I really
dry sense of humor. You're at your uncle's house. Yeah.
Okay. So, and she brought out tea. She's like, "Hey, do you guys want tea? I freshly brewed it." I'm like, "Yeah." And so she looked at me as I got a glass. She's like, "Josh, I want you to try it to tell me how it tastes. Make sure it tastes right." So I hold the cup in front of my mouth, right? And have me take a sip. As soon as she said that, like I was getting ready to take a sip of it. When she said it, I'm like, I really want to be smart right now. And she's looked at me like, I know, just take a sip of the tea. Because what I wanted to do, right? As soon as she said that, take a sip of it and spit it out to see what she would say. I didn't. Because I didn't want to get whacked. But again, that's...
So you just got schemes running in your head all the time. All the time. And your good nature and Jesus are helping you not, destroy the world.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. I know you're always scheming on the show. You're always like, "Oh, Jared, are you ready for a surprise today? Oh, I'm going to surprise you." Like trying to always keep the air of like, you don't know, it might come.
It might.
Speaking
of which,
no,
I'm kidding.
I knew it was coming right now. I was going to transition into it myself.
Oh, okay. No, but yeah, so that's part of the thing.
So you really relate to Scar, and you feel at one with his character.
Yes.
And you'd happily kill your brother for the sake of stealing his house, and you'd psychologically torture his son, convincing him that he killed his dad and you didn't. You do that. You can relate to Scar.
If I was in the same position as Scar,
you're a monster.
I am
an absolute,
and I'm okay
monster.
with that.
Everybody listening to this podcast, just know that if you're listening and supporting Josh, you're supporting a monster.
Really,
a monster.
I am a monster. Okay,
I'm not the monster here. You are.
I saw something too. Trying to sympathize with Scar.
It's trying to sympathize with Scar.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Okay, because I don't know if this is lore or not, but I saw a song that a guy did a parody of, or whatever. And he did a Scar voice, and he goes like, "If my mom didn't kind of just talking. I'm not going to sing it because I can't sing.
Okay.
It says if like his mom didn't ignore him and says paying attention on Mufasa, said there would be less casualties. And also remember too, like, so from what we're gathering from the movie, they're twins. They're
is that the suggestion
twins,
that they're twins?
No, I'm not twins.
This is like an Arnold Schwarzenegger, Danny DeVito
age.
Twins situation.
No, but like they're the same age.
Okay.
So I guess it is just like a random idea. It's like, okay, they weren't that much older. The age difference.
You're fan theorying so hard right now.
But hang on.
So this is not canon at all.
It's not canon.
Okay, just being clear. Like we're in Josh's head right now,
which is dangerous.
Okay, and that's where we are. I want people to know we're in your head. Yeah. So in Josh's head, Mufasa and Scar are twins.
No, that's not.
They're born at the same time from the same mother.
Okay, let me rephrase it. They're not. There's not a major age gap.
Okay.
So and Scar wanted to be king because he figured like, well, I'm smarter and better. But then Simba came around and he got bumped.
Mm-hmm.
Now his plan was foolproof, minus one factor.
Zaboomafoo.
I really want to throw something at you. That ain't right.
What was the one factor, Josh?
The one factor, hyenas. They could not accomplish a single task he gave them. His plan would have succeeded 110%. Minus if we didn't have hyenas in the factory.
I think it's still a terrible plan because...
No, it wasn't.
No, it was. Because so even if the hyenas are successful and they kill Simba, do you know what happens? Mufasa cries. He's sad. What's the mom's name?
No.
Sarabi.
The second time.
The second time?
So like right when... So not when they see him the first time. Simba the first time. But when they... So this is kind of how I would... If, like, he sent him to the hyenas the first time when he went to go to the elephant graveyard. Mm-hmm. They failed. It's like, okay, you guys get out of here. I don't want you anymore. We're going to go to plan B. Mm-hmm. Now it's foolproof because I've subtracted hyenas. I can't trust you guys to finish.
He also needed the hyenas to cause the...
Yeah, but I mean, like, to finish, like, go get Simba. Don't trust hyenas. It would have worked if he didn't trust the hyenas to catch Simba.
See, so the way my brain works is like, Scar, right there, he's successfully killed Mufasa, right? Mm-hmm. They're in the gorge. Simba's crying like, why did this happen? Whatever. Scar's right there.
Yeah.
He is a full-grown male lion who has the moral stance of, I'm perfectly happy to kill my brother to get my kingdom. Why would he not just kill Simba himself right there?
Yes.
Okay, so that would be a foolproof plan. Like, just kill Simba right now. But I also, this started from the argument of like, well, maybe Scar's got a point,
Yeah.
He has a point up until he starts psychologically torturing a child.
Yes.
You want to say like, hey, Scar's been done wrong, and maybe Mufasa's actually like done some pretty horrible things, and Scar is now getting his revenge because he's much smaller and weaker. And so in the lion, wilderness where it's, Darwinism, the strongest survive. Like, okay, like if we're playing by those rules, then Scar has every right to try and, Revenge of the Sith, stab or kill Mufasa some way. Like the Sith, the way that they do of, there's a master and apprentice, and the apprentice is always trying to kill the master. It's allowed within the Sith culture. They're okay with it. In lion culture, that's okay to kill one another.
I'm looking at you that way because
that's okay.
Okay, I'm looking at you that way because you're talking
psychologically torture a child.
Star Wars fan or enthusiast.
I'll have you know, Josh, I also am a Star Wars fan.
Okay, I'm an enthusiast.
I will also say I'm a Star Wars enthusiast. Do you know what is on my nightstand right now?
We're not at your nightstand.
A comic book of Darth Vader backstory. After
so
story,
what we need to do
extras.
is question who has the most knowledge of Star Wars.
The most knowledge? You want to do that?
We can at some point.
Is that what you want to do?
You'll lose.
Will I?
You will lose.
Will I?
100%.
All right, that's an episode.
Down the road, yes.
Change the schedule.
No,
we are putting that in the schedule.
We'll see.
It is a Star Wars trivia battle to the death. Loser will die.
Can I bring a lightsaber?
Can I bring a lightsaber? Can I bring all
Hacksmith,
five of
if you're
mine?
listening, I'll send this to you. They created the world's first authentic lightsaber.
Oh, yeah?
Hacksmith,
Like
I need
it's
your
an
assistance.
actual laser sword?
Yes.
What?
I want to bring that so that I can actually win.
I need you to send me that video because I don't believe you.
I'll send it.
Real lightsabers aren't real, Josh.
What?
Maybe you are a
Quote,
bigger fan.
unquote.
Maybe you're a bigger fan than I am because I know that lightsabers are not real.
It is, but it isn't.
It is, but it isn't.
Yes.
What kind of weird, like, duality of existence argument are you trying to float by us right now? Josh, we're talking about The Lion King. You've gone way off track.
That was your fault.
That is not my fault.
Yes, it was. I'm the host. I blame you.
I
There,
merely
problem solved.
posed that you are an evil person.
Yes.
And that you support the psychological torture of children.
I
which
did not
disagree
say
with.
that. That is not correct.
I mean, it's recorded, so I don't.
That's what you said every time.
That's not what I said. You said that you're okay with psychologically torturing
I did
kids
not say that.
because you like to scheme like Scar,
I said I like to scheme like Star so I can see his standpoint.
so you can see why it's okay to psychologically
did not
torture
say
children. I mean, in more or less words. Would you
Okay.
like to right now denounce psychologically torturing
Yes.
children?
I did not.
All right,
that
you
was
all
okay.
heard it.
I
He said
denounce.
yes, he is for the psychological torture of children. So now we have that. Thanks, Josh.
You're welcome. I'm gonna get you later for this. Yeah, I had
Hazard Animations does neither endorse or support the psychological torture
no.
of children.
Like I
in
said in
any
the
form.
disclaimer, take everything we say with a grain of salt.
Not too many grains of salt, though.
Just one.
That's wasteful.
Okay, so anyway, we got on tangent. So yes, I am like Scar.
I can see that.
I should do a Scar cosplay. I should. Don't know how. Well, I do.
I'm sure that there's some
I'll figure it out.
inspiration on Pinterest.
Probably. Any other thoughts, comments, or concerns?
I love this movie. This is a good movie.
Yes.
One
One of the best movies.
I recommend going back and watching it again because it is a good movie. I've watched it over the last couple months a few times with my kids, and it's always fun. There's always there's a depth of story there, but there's also a fun lightness to it with like Pumbaa and Timon are some of the great comedic relief characters of all time, I think. Where like in so many shows and movies, animated and live action and otherwise, like the comedic relief is really hard to get right.
Mhm.
And Timon and Pumbaa are two really, really solid characters. They're
Yeah.
funny, but they add to the story. They contribute. They're not just guys off in the corner being made fun of. Like they're super funny. But
Yeah.
it's just a great movie.
It is. Oh, and remember when they do the "We Need a Diversion"?
Yeah.
Like, and that's not. I'm gonna continue for a second. Is the dress and drag and do the hula?
Mm-hmm.
When we're younger, we didn't know what drag really was.
All I knew was that it was really funny that it cuts to hula. If you want to be on juicy meat,
Yeah,
that whole song,
saw
which
it,
I still don't really know what he's saying. All I know is that they're creating a diversion,
and it worked.
and it's funny.
And then I saw a video. An animator did that same scene
Mm-hmm.
for Attack on Titan.
What?
I'm dead serious. So basically, he sees a bunch of Titans, right? I forgot what characters they are.
Mhm.
I'm still watching the video, but anyway, and it's like, we need a diversion. He's like, what kind of diversion? And he goes, aw. And so they do the full scene, and all he sees is Titans going.
Oh, that's so weird.
It was funny, but
I'll have to check that out.
I'll
That's-
send it. I
that's
have it
funny.
somewhere.
Those are my parting thoughts. The Lion King is a really good movie.
Yeah. I refuse to watch the live action one, the
Mhm.
realistic. I say
Yeah.
live action. It's not really live.
Yeah.
No, there's a reason for that.
Okay.
So the Beauty and the Beast we're doing a podcast on, that's the live action one.
Oh, okay.
That's
yeah,
not
yeah.
the original one.
All right.
Now, the reason I'm saying that is because the live one, the cast was so stacked from top to bottom. Like how many top-notch actors they had. Ewan McGregor.
Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
There was also Ewan McGregor in that one.
And Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about him. Can't forget Ewan McGregor because he really carries that movie.
Yeah.
Hermione, whatever her name is.
I'm forgetting. But anyway.
Her name is, it's Emma Watson.
Emma Watson, yeah.
That's it. I got it.
Right. And I don't know all the other cast, but it was just a very, like.
Yeah, the guy who plays Gaston.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I can't think of his name, but he's a really good actor.
And the guy who played the Beast is also, he's a Broadway singer, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then the guy who played Olaf.
Yes. Josh Gad.
Yeah. He's good too.
He's funny.
And so, and they keep making live action. Like they made
Aladdin.
Jungle Book.
Jungle Book wasn't bad. Wasn't great.
I think they're trying to keep up with the Beauty and the Beast though, and they're making all these ones and just like, I'm sorry, you can't keep up with that. I said it was just so perfectionist in a way. Perfect. I guess it would be. I don't know. It was just one of the greatest live actions. So they can't. That's why I won't do the like Aladdin, The Lion King.
That's an odd take for you to be such a big fan of Beauty and the Beast and not. Because I could understand if you were to watch like the live action Lion King and like, oh, it doesn't stack up. Like, but if you thought that the Beauty and the Beast was so good, I would think you'd want to give those other live action ones a chance. Because I've watched a few of them. I've watched the Aladdin one.
Right.
I watched Beauty and the Beast.
Now, see, I won't watch the Aladdin one. And the reason for that, I've watched a bit of it, like bits and pieces.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I won't watch it to full length is because it doesn't have Robin Williams in it.
Yeah, that's an understandable.
And I know that's probably like a bad excuse, but that's the only reason I will not watch it front to back is because it doesn't have Robin Williams in it.
I'll say that because I watched it once. Will Smith does a good job.
Yeah.
You know, there was only one Robin Williams, and so to replace him is just not possible. But Will Smith had so I tried to imagine what if Robin Williams had never played the genie, never been in the original Aladdin? Like, would Will Smith be a good fit for this? And my answer was yes.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he did a good job in the live action version of it. But it does make it tough because when you have a Robin Williams just completely crush a role, and so definitively secure that spot. It was hard for me to get past that and think, because I like Will Smith as an actor. I've watched a ton of his movies. Big fan. I think he's great. I think he is funny. Hitch is one of my favorite movies ever. And Will Smith is a funny character, can do the funny role very, very well. But that's a tough one to get past.
Yeah. And I've seen bits of it, and he seems to be doing a good job. I'm not gonna say he didn't.
Yeah.
I just won't watch it because of that reason. And I know it's probably a stupid reason, but that's just.
No, it's a reason. There are a lot of movies that I haven't watched for much dumber reasons. For example, I don't want to. That's it. If I don't want to watch a movie, I don't have to watch it.
That is true.
No one can make me watch anything, Josh. No one. No one. I'm the master of my own destiny.
You sure?
We've done 2 different podcast episodes where I was supposed to watch something and I didn't. Take that, Josh.
I might just change something just to mess you up.
We'll see. Maybe I'll change something to mess you up.
Oh, yeah. I got to work on the outline, too, for you.
You should work on the outline.
So, Jared's doing his own episode.
Yeah.
With now kind of it's going to be a while.
My own episode. I'm picking the topic.
So, Jared's picking the topic.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be movie, ideas. And he has a choice to tell me ahead of time to prepare, or you can tell me the day of. And I have 0 time to prepare.
Okay.
And all the roles reversed. That means you start the episode, you do the welcome, you do the outro. You run everything.
It's the Jared show.
It's the Jared show.
All right.
That one time.
Cool.
And we'll start adding more.
We'll do more.
Yeah. I hope I don't regret this.
I will slowly take over this entire animation studio. Be
I don't know about that.
prepared.
No.
Yes, I did it. I referenced the thing in the middle of the episode. Yay me. I did a good job.
Good job, Jared. Do you want me to do a...
I'll add in clapping sounds.
Oh, you will? Okay.
And in post. It'll be pretty spectacular.
Will it? Okay. Are you going to like add the voice of like the actual movie?
Copyright issues. I don't think I can.
Yeah, I don't think you
could. I could try to do the voice. What the voice do you want to?
I don't know. It's fine the way it is.
The words?
Just words, yeah.
The words, okay. The words.
I think the way you did it's fine. We won't have to add anything. Okay.
We'll see. Maybe I'll just record like the entire soundtrack and just put that in place of our podcast episode, and when people go to listen to the Lion King episode, it's just me singing all the songs, no backing music or anything, just me. Can you feel the love?
We're gonna lose a lot of
tonight?
followers very quickly. Okay.
It meets the evening
questions from the fans and shout outs.
breeze.
No one did any questions. Make sure you guys click the link in the bio. Check out the Discord. We have questions on there. I don't know who we're going to put in the disclaimer of this podcast. So shout out to you as well. Hopefully get some more people. So if you're interested in doing the podcast audio.
I think we did Swagger as the disclaimer for the last episode.
Did we do Swagger?
Yeah.
Swagger Souls. Thank you so much.
Yep.
It's not actually Swagger Souls.
It's not?
No. But thank you, Swagger. I appreciate that.
Shout out to Swagger Souls.
Yeah.
Shout out to whoever did the Swagger voice.
So if you guys want to do that audition for that, we'll be having those are still open on the Discord. Try and get Trent to do it.
Ooh, Trent.
So hopefully I have
Do it, Trent.
So I have a voice I want him to do.
What voice?
Alls I can say for the voice I want him to do, it's a main villain in one of our shows that we're trying to schedule out.
Cruella de Vil.
No.
Oh. Maleficent.
It's a custom.
Oh, a custom.
Custom character.
Ooh.
I'm not going to say any. Now, this show that we're doing, I'm not going to say anything more like details.
Okay.
Like what's going to happen.
Like the storyline, the plot.
Yeah, no. The show is going to be very well made, so it's going to take us longer to plan this out. It's not going to be like a short animation like what we're starting to work on now. This is going to be it's going to be like our Ruby to Rooster Teeth kind of thing.
Okay.
So we're going to
show
like a show. This is going to be
like
what
a 20-minute show.
Yes.
20-minute episodes. 40 episodes a season. 67 seasons.
We're not doing One Piece.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
But I'm going to have him do that voice if I can get him to do it.
All right.
I can't say anything more. I can't say the character's name. Can't say
That's
what the show's called.
Because it might change.
No, the show title won't change, but
characters may change.
Maybe. So yeah, check out the links. We also got some cool merch. We're gonna hopefully get some. Jared's gonna be getting a shirt soon with the staff logo on it.
Yeah, that way you guys can see it when you're
listening
to the podcast.
How's that gonna work exactly? We'll just say like, "Hey, you're wearing a shirt. Looks great. Good job."
I'm actually wearing the shirt today.
No, you're not. I'm not. And we'll do pictures of like before.
We'll have to start videoing these pretty soon then, so people can see. And we have a whiteboard in the room that we record in, so maybe Josh will draw you a picture.
I don't know if we can do that on the spot. I'm not good enough.
Well, you can do it beforehand.
That's true.
You got like 5 minutes in the pre-show prep. That's enough time.
No.
I mean, like a minute.
It depends how long, what kind of drawing.
No, I'll do it. I'm really good at drawing.
Got it.
Draw the best.
And also, we got a new shirt coming out. That's the one we mentioned in the beginning.
Yes.
Is the one that I'm going to be getting. It's mainly quoting after me. Is I'm not evil. I'm just not nice. Which I think is a great shirt.
And it's true.
And it is true.
It's true.
I will probably have one of those shirts in every single color. Dead serious. I will not question. I will have one of those shirts in every single color.
Josh's everyday shirt. Just letting everybody know, hey, not evil. Just not nice.
So when we do the shirts and stuff, when we start doing like recording, where like we have to wear shirts if we do camera, then I'll talk about that later. We'll figure that out. Okay. Final comments, thoughts. We already kind of went over it. So again, thank you. Next week's topic is Hot Wheels World Race.
Hot Wheels World Race.
Yes.
Super excited for that. I've never seen it.
No. We talked about it. You haven't seen it, huh?
No, I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
My boys did start watching a Hot Wheels show, but it's a newer Hot Wheels show, so I don't think it's the same one.
And we have a whole schedule out, so we're going to start planning things out for the rest of the year.
Yep.
So the Hot Wheels World Race is going to be awesome. So we're going to be watching that. So I'll work on the outline today, so we can get that. I don't even know what's next, but we're going to start saying the podcast for the next week. And then one more quick thing before we get into the outro. After this episode or soon, they're going to start being posted weekly instead of bi-weekly. Because I just want to listen to them when I'm at work. Because I listen to them as soon as
we're going to start pumping them out.
So every week on Saturday morning at 6 a.m.
That's early.
Should we do 8?
It doesn't matter.
I do
6. People can listen to it whenever
I try to
they
be
want.
at 6, guys.
It's not like you have to listen to it right at 6. It's just it's available then.
Yeah,
so that's fine. It's fine.
So
I'm up at 6 every day. So
I'm up before then on the weekdays. Sucks.
It's
anyway,
too early to be up.
Yeah, I'm up at 4:30.
I disagree. I disagree with being up at 4:30.
I wish I could. I had the job.
You need to tell your job like, no, time does not exist before 6 a.m. And so if they'll buy that, you push it back. Be like, time doesn't exist before 8 a.m. See how far you can get.
Yeah, no. Okay, I guess it's about this gets haywire. Okay, so check out all the links, join the Discord, subscribe to the YouTube. We're gonna hopefully stream on Twitch tomorrow is my plan. Whoops, drop that. So thank you all for tuning in, and remember, it's okay to be hazardous. Just don't get caught doing it.
Be prepared.
I knew you were gonna do that.
Somebody has to. Someone has to.
I like adding that.
You can't say be prepared and not saying be prepared.
That's true.
Like a good Boy Scout. Be prepared. Always prepared. Prepare-a-roni.